Hello everyone, Alistair Gold here and welcome to episode 21 of Gold Goes to the Movies. Still don't know how we got there, but we have. Just a trio of movies, a hat trick if you will, because I just mainly wanted to get my thoughts out very quickly, or as quickly as I could, on the Fantastic Four First Steps before I head off on a little work trip. I've also watched Happy Gilmore 2, which came out on Netflix on Friday, and I also watched a movie called Fight or Flight, which is on Sky TV here in the UK. But let's not waste any time. Let's dive straight into the Fantastic Four First Steps. This is a third released go at bringing Fantastic Four to the big screen. Technically the fourth film, I suppose, because the first one had a sequel, of course. There was also, I think it was 1994, an unreleased, I think it was a German English-speaking film. Look it up. There's actually the people from that are in this movie as well in small roles. This is the first one, though, that's been brought into the MCU and obviously given the Kevin Feige treatment. I think it's been in development for 6 years now. So is it worth it? 6 years after they started developing it? Absolutely. This is my favourite iteration of the Fantastic Four in the movies by a long, long way. I didn't mind the original couple. The kind of reboot with Miles Teller and co was all right. This is quite literally fantastic. It's probably the best Marvel movie for a long time as well. It's a really good, enjoyable film. The best praise I can give it is the cinema I went into. There were a few, let's say, chatty youngsters, teenagers in the cinema. And as it started, the first minute or so, they were chatting away and I'm thinking, oh no. You know how it can really influence your enjoyment of a movie. Within 60 seconds, they were locked in. Did not hear from them again. Unless they were disappeared, someone just vanished them in the back somewhere. But, you know, I'm taking it as a sign that they just really enjoyed the film or engrossed in it because it was that good. You know, it's a little bit like Superman in the fact, which I reviewed in the previous video, that it drops you straight into this different world. It's kind of Earth, but not, as you'll see. The origin story of the Fantastic Four is very cleverly dealt with, very quickly, kind of in passing, without taking you away from the present that you've been thrown into. And it's all got this 1960s style retro futuristic world thing. It's very cool. It's very colourful. It's very bright. It's very interesting on the screen. It's all directed by Matt Shakman, who actually was a former child actor, if you weren't aware, who brought us the terrific WandaVision. That was such a good series. And he's directed loads of brilliant shows. He's got great pedigree. He's, what has he directed? Succession, The Boys, Mad Men, Fargo, Game of Thrones. He knows how to handle all different kinds of drama, but also big action scenes as well. He took over the directing of this movie from John Watts, who you might remember did the three so far Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. They're currently obviously filming a fourth one that he's not involved in. I think he just had superhero fatigue and just decided to kind of bow out of doing this film that he was already part of. And kind of Matt Shakman took it in this slightly different direction, I think. And the superhero fatigue idea is quite topical, really, because I think that's what makes this movie work so much better than other recent efforts. It's because it's different. It's so different to other stuff that Marvel's kind of wheeled out in recent years. I know it's going to tie into the whole MCU world, but it kind of also is very much its own thing. And I think what sets it apart is it kind of feels more like a sci-fi movie, more so than a superhero movie, which is maybe why I've got that behind me. You can tell that Shakman was influenced by Kubrick, 2001, and it shows in this film. It's far more a movie about family, and far more, I'd say, an emotionally charged movie than certainly a slam-bang action flick. There are some good action scenes and set pieces throughout the movie, but they're very much in certain points. And I would actually say mostly come towards the end of the film. There's some dotted around at the start and the middle and everything, but I would say the bulk of them come towards the end of the film. And I think by that point, we know the characters so well that there's probably bigger stakes to it all. You know, you're not sure who's going to get through this. And I think it's helped by the fact that the cast is absolutely spot on. They've got a great chemistry. There's kind of four actors that just really work well together. You've got Pedro Pascal as the great Reed Richards, as in he makes a great Reed Richards. He's kind of in one way incredibly intelligent, but then in another kind of aspect quite vulnerable about maybe the normal things in life. That's very cool. Joseph Quinn is a very good Johnny Storm. Not cocky or irritating, and far more self-aware than Chris Evans' version was in the original couple. And you might remember Pedro Pascal, Joseph Quinn worked together on Gladiator 2 as well. So they've got that little bit of backstory together. And you've also got Ebon Moss-Backrack of The Bear fame, if you've watched that brilliant show. He brings something different to Ben Grimm as the Thing. And his version of The Thing is a bit different to previous versions in terms of he's accepted, he's quite loved as well. Whereas in other films there's this little fear around that character, and maybe just the fact that obviously what happened to him in the backstory of going up to space and how he was changed. This version of the Thing is motion capture and CGI rather than any kind of practical effects, and it kind of works on the whole, apart from when one other little character is engaging with it, but we'll talk about that in a minute. The reason I've deliberately left Vanessa Kirby until last as Sue Storm is because for me she's the standout. She's absolutely brilliant. Everything in this kind of family, this group of people, gravitates around her, and her performance is so strong. It really is kind of like the beating heart of the whole family. She's just perfect. It's interesting because I'd imagine quite a few people couldn't have foreseen these actors or some of them in these roles, but actually when you see it on the big screen, especially the way they work together, absolutely note perfect. It really is. As is really the supporting cast. You've got Julia Garner in there as the Silver Surfer, the Herald of Galactus, who is played by Ralph Ineson. Who knew Finchy from The Office would end up essentially wanting to destroy the world? Natasha Lyonne turns up in this little role, which is quite a nice little role. Maybe he'll grow into something else in future films. Paul Walter Hauser, who I really like in various things. He's good fun as Mole Man in this as well. Mark Gatiss has this really useful storytelling role in the movie. And there's Ted Lasso's Sarah Niles as well, who is having the summer of all summers. She's in the Fantastic Four First Steps. She's in F1 as well. She's in Heads of State. Both of those movies are reviewed in recent videos. And she just keeps popping up in these huge kind of movies of the summer. John Malkovich had this small role as Red Ghost, which was announced before. He kind of filmed it all, but it was cut in post-production, so we don't get to see John Malkovich in this, other than kind of mention of his character. And look, it's not giving much away because we see it in the trailers, it's been spoken about. There is a baby in this movie. And the baby, that's the only iffy bit of CGI for me. There's a few moments, especially when the baby is interacting with the Thing. It's a bit, especially I think on a big screen. Wasn't great. The character of the baby is very good. It's very important to the story. But I just felt there were a couple of moments where it was like, okay, I know you couldn't use a real baby here, but maybe there was the one bit that could have worked a little bit hard on the CGI, which otherwise is terrific in this. Talking of terrific, the score by Michael Giacchino is brilliant. It's a huge part of the movie. The music really kind of drives a lot of the action as well, and also the kind of more poignant moments too. It's a really something special actually. Kind of for the first time in a while, it kind of made me want to download the soundtrack. It's that good. I really wish I'd gone to see this film on IMAX as I did with Superman, because I think the colours would have really popped on the screen, and this, like I say, the 60s retro look to it all, while also being kind of futuristic. It's got that kind of how the future would have looked to people in the 60s idea to it. I love that look. And if you can see it in IMAX, I really do recommend you do. I think it should do well at the box office, especially through word of mouth, a bit like Superman's done. And also because we've been very clearly told in the build-up, this all leads into the events of Avengers Doomsday. There are a couple of post-credit scenes. I would say the first, is far more important than the second. The first one definitely drew a few, let's say, reactions from the audience. So it still amazes me that people leave before the credits or just as the credits start rolling in a Marvel movie. It's just like, I know some people aren't aware of this, but come on. Marvel movies have been going for so long now. We know the bulk of them have credit scenes, even if it's just mid-credit scenes. And people still get up, and I cannot help myself but just go, why? Come back. Yeah, it's like I say, I think it will do well, and I would imagine we'll see a Fantastic Four sequel. I think it's kind of in the works, and I'm fascinated to kind of see how they interact with the rest of the cast of Avengers Doomsday, which looks like it's going to be a big old cast. I get the impression that Fantastic Four are going to be quite kind of key to it all. Just feels like it's been a really big week at the cinema. Big few weeks at the cinema for the kind of the blockbuster films, which is great for the box office. You know, you've had Superman, you've got Fantastic Four now, you had Jurassic World Rebirth done really well, F1 did really well, and that's not even talking about the $1 billion Lilo and Stitch Minecraft movie. Wasn't far off $1 billion as well, $1 billion. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning brought in a fair bit of money. Sinners did really well. Even like Captain America: Brave New World and Thunderbolts, they made reasonable money, albeit not relatively well in the Marvel world. But you know, it's just getting people back into the cinemas, which has been great. So that's Fantastic Four. Really recommend it. And I would even say, if you're not a huge superhero film, you might still enjoy it, because like I say, it's different. It's got a sci-fi vibe to it, and it is very well acted. It feels like the characters are far better fleshed out than many kind of you would see in a Marvel movie. I was really, really impressed with it. I was expecting it to be decent. I knew the advance buzz about it was quite good, but it probably exceeded my expectations by a fair old distance. So next off, talking about expectations, is the return of Adam Sandler as Happy Gilmore in Happy Gilmore 2. It comes 29 years after the original, which was a Sandler classic. I really, really liked Happy Gilmore back in the day. It's one of those very rewatchable, if it comes on the telly, you just sit down and watch it. I'm trying to think if this is the first kind of direct sequel to an Adam Sandler-led film. Grown Ups obviously had a second one, but it was more of an ensemble piece. I think this might be. I know Murder Mystery had a sequel again, but I don't think that was just him. Whereas Happy Gilmore is all about Adam Sandler. Of course, it was one of his early vehicles, wasn't it? I think he just left Saturday Night Live. But look, I guess what this comes down to is, do we really need Happy Gilmore 2 in our lives? Not really, not in the slightest, to be honest. Is it as good as the original? No, not in the slightest. Does it have some of the charm and fun of the original? Yeah, it kind of does. It kind of does. While I would say it's not the most necessary sequel of all time, there was enough in it that kind of made me feel nostalgic and enjoy certainly bits of it. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. It's got some bits that easily could have been chopped out of it, including about half of the 7,000 cameos that they've tried to squeeze into it. Bearing in mind the original film came in, I think it was less than 90 minutes before the credits came in. This one is pushing 2 hours, and it probably doesn't need to be anywhere near that. I think it would have benefited from being a bit more streamlined like the first one was. And I'd say it's at its best when it really is looking back to that original. There's kind of lots of nice little nods back to the original. There's a fair few original actors are back in it as well. And one of them has a nice little twist, I think, to their character's plot, which I quite liked. You've got Julie Bowen back. Ben Stiller is back. Christopher McDonald as Shooter McGavin is back. And a fair few of the actors who've died since the original movie came out. There's some nice kind of touches and nods towards their characters in various different ways. And of course, all the Adam Sandler's favourites pop up that are in all his films. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I saw every single one of them, I think, that's in his films. Even Steve Buscemi, who had an amusing little kind of couple of moments in the film. I just find it so paradoxical, this kind of strange world that we live in, where Steve Buscemi is this incredible actor, director, who is known for such kind of heights in terms of like real kind of Oscar Emmy worthy stuff. And when he's in an Adam Sandler movie, he just plays it up. He just plays these crazy, zany characters, and in a really fun way. So the story itself, without going into too many details, because these are spoiler-free reviews, this is 3 decades on from the original movie. It's fair to say things have gone downhill for him a fair bit. He's just trying to provide for a very big family that he has. He has given up golf for a certain reason, and of course, the movie requires him to be drawn back into it out of necessity for the plot. And yeah, the story's all right. It's all right. It serves its purpose. What I would say, there are Sandlers galore in this movie. There are, I think, I think two of his daughters are in it. I think his wife's in it. I think his mum's in it as well. The original movie's director, Dennis Dugan, returns purely in an acting capacity in this. Directorial duties are taken over this time by Carl Newacek. He directed Murder Mystery, which I spoke about earlier, the first one with Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston. That obviously had a sequel. Probably more importantly for me is he's a producer and director of the absolutely brilliant What We Do in the Shadows, which I think he did for 19 episodes, which is one of my favourites. It's kind of finished its run a couple of months back. And look, if you like your golf, this has got pretty much every top golfer of the modern era, past eras, showing up in this film. And John Daly in a kind of a bigger role that actually was quite surprisingly amusing. It's quite good. For a golfer, putting in a bit of acting wasn't bad. The newcomers we've got in this film include Benny Safdie, who co-directed Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler. That brilliantly kind of how do I describe Uncut Gems? Stressful movie is probably the best way to put it. One of Adam Sandler's best performances. And so Benny Safdie in this is a character, very rich man that's trying to change golf and create something new and gimmicky. And look, there are not so subtle kind of parallels here to the current state of the game and the recent competing tours that we've seen. Who else pops up? Haley Joel Osment pops up in a little role. Travis Kelce pops up in kind of what I'd say is an extended cameo. He's not awful for an NFL player coming into the movies. He's not bad. Eminem pops up as well in a kind of probably quite an amusing cameo, I would say. Bad Bunny turns up in a bit of a stranger one. But look, if you're looking for highbrow humour, you've come to the wrong place. Happy Gilmore 2 will not provide you with that. But if you are looking for a little bit of the essence of the original, silliness, daft slapstick humour, but also this likability because of what Adam Sandler brings to roles like this when he's kind of locked into them, you're going to want Happy Gilmore to come through and win the day. And yeah, if you're looking for that, you're going to get it. Would I say it's got loads of belly laughs? Not really, but it's got a few kind of make you smile moments, a few laughs, a few moments where you're kind of like, okay. But on the whole, it's a good couple of hours, especially if you really love the first one. I'd say if you don't love the first one, this probably isn't for you. But if you want to kind of look back nostalgically on the first one with a bit of an update and, like I say, 7,000 cameos or so, this will do you for a Saturday night movie. Last one of the bunch is Fight or Flight, which I just flicked over by accident onto. I think it just started. The credits had just started to come up at the start. So I thought, I'm going to stick with this. I'd heard about it. It's a little bit like a budget version of Bullet Train, but on a plane. Came out in February here on Sky Cinema in the UK. It was I think it was called a Sky Original when it came out. It stars Josh Hartnett as a kind of mercenary who's been recruited to identify and protect like a wanted criminal on this commercial flight. And what comes next is this kind of stylized, almost comic book violence type thing with an array of characters who you'll have forgotten about within seconds of the movie finishing. But look, if you want a silly action movie with people throwing a chainsaw around on a plane, then this is your movie. Josh Hartnett's good. It's good. It kind of probably makes the movie, just raises it out from being a bit rubbish, takes it a little bit beyond that. He's had a bit of a resurgence, hasn't he, in recent years with Oppenheimer, Trap, and The Bear. He was in for a couple of episodes as well, we spoke about earlier. And yeah, he's the best thing about this movie by a mile. No, it's no classic. It's not a great film. It's not really worthy of too much discussion. But if you've got a spare couple of hours and you kind of come across it and you want a bit of daft, silly, gory fun, then yeah, look, it's going to kill some time for you. It's probably my lowest rank of those three films, but it's not awful. I kind of expected it to be awful, but it's not. It's just okay. It's got some reasonably clever little action moments in it, but you'll have seen a lot of it in other films. It's quite derivative. It's not particularly inventive, but it does have some, I'd say, well choreographed action scenes, is probably the best way to put it. So yeah, like I said at the top of this, I am heading off for kind of a couple of long haul flights for work in the coming days. So I'm going to use those flights to kind of catch up on some of the old aircraft entertainment, as it were, that they have. There's a few movies I noticed on there that I missed on their first runs. There's Novocaine, Mickey 17, The Amateur, Alto Nights is on there as well, I noticed. So they're four that I'm going to try and get through over the course of those couple of flights. They're long flights, so I shall try and get them and be able to tell you about those in the next video. In the cinema coming up, we've got Together with Dave Franco and Alison Brie. That's at the end of the month. And we've got Naked Gun, Weapons, which Pedro Pascal had to pull out of because of the Fantastic Four schedule changing. But he is back, Pedro Pascal, in Materialist with Dakota Johnson. I was going to say Dakota Fanning there. Dakota Johnson and Chris Evans. Nobody 2's coming out as well. I enjoyed the first one of that. And then we've got Eddington, which is out next month. Pedro Pascal again. I think it's third movie of the summer, unless there's another one I'm forgetting. Joaquin Phoenix, Emma Stone, Luke Grimes of Yellowstone fame, all in that. And then August rounds off with Darren Aronofsky's Caught Stealing, which has got a great cast. Austin Butler, Vincent D'Onofrio, Liev Schreiber, Zoe Kravitz, Matt Smith, Regina King as well. And we've also got The Toxic Avenger with Peter Dinklage as well. Be interesting to see what that's like. So yeah, that's it really. Just a quick video this week, just the three. But yeah, especially I would absolutely recommend Fantastic Four. If you can get to a cinema to watch it, you'll really enjoy it and you won't regret it. Happy Gilmore 2, it's okay. It's okay. It's a nice little slice of nostalgia. Fight or Flight, it's take it or leave it, I would say. But yeah, that's the bunch this week. As always, stay healthy, stay safe, look after yourselves, and of course, keep watching those movies. Goodbye.